today. Just a reminder that, we are meeting today, morning, afternoon, and evening, and we are learning the remaining of the things we need to learn today. Okay. Next week, starting on Monday, there will be no class. Okay, no class. But very important, remember, 9:30 p.m. every day, there will be a quiz. Okay. So tomorrow you have quiz one, Tuesday quiz two, Wednesday quiz three, and then Thursday quiz four. Remember, you have four quizzes next week. Okay. We are learning today, but we are not doing the quizzes today. So remember to do the quizzes tomorrow. All right, so this afternoon we have two workshops on teaching language construction and teaching language skills. Okay, not much of a lecture this afternoon, but you will work on, most of the time you work on studying how to design your activities, and then you work on designing your activity in the lesson plan. All right, let's begin with the first one. I'm gonna share my screen, and here we go. All right, so for the next part of the course, we are going to talk about how to teach, how to design activities for teaching, okay? And we are going to do that in the form of two workshops. Workshop number one is on how to teach, language construction, and workshop number two is how to teach language skills, okay? So let's begin with teaching language construction. Right? And I like to begin with the first question. What is language construction? What is it? Okay. So the topic of our workshop today is on teaching language construction. Okay. So the first question is, what is language construction? What does it mean? Does anyone know? In English, when you see the word construction, what does it mean? Construction. What does construction means?
I think it's to build something.
Yes, okay. Construction comes from the verb to construct, okay? And then to construct means to build. So construction means the act of building something, okay? What does it mean to build? Okay, or building. What does it mean? To put? Yes, me too.
Teacher, I think we focus on grammar, vocabulary, or pronunciation of language.
Okay. Yes. To build in English means to put some things together to form something else, right? So, for example, when you say you build a house, you put together bricks, you put together wood, you put together materials to make a house, right? So, to build means to put together something to create something else, to make something else, right? So, when you say language construction, okay, language construction, you mean to build language, okay? How do we build a language? How do we build a language? How do you construct language, or how do you build a language? Okay. Does anyone know? How do we build a language? Now, if you want to build a house, okay? If you want to build a house, right? What do you need? What do you need?
Materials.
Materials. For example, what kind of materials?
Like bricks, cement,
Bricks.
metal. Like
metal.
Yes.
Wood.
Wood.
Okay. Cement, right? And you put those things together, you create a house, right? Now, when you build a language, what do you need? What do you need? What is language made of? What is the materials of language? Come on, you're going to be language teachers. Yes, Mary?
We need some materials like grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, semantic, and spelling.
Okay, and how do we put them together? How do we put them together? When you
we
say,
will,
sorry?
I mean, we use some kind of methods to use all these things together. Not
Okay.
like the teacher have some method like explain or practice or research or whatever she can do.
All right, thank you. All right, so when you say language, what do you think of? When we say language, what do we think of? What is the unit of language? What do you think is the unit of language? What does language consist of?
I think it consists of many elements like sounds, words, meaning,
Sounds,
grammar,
sounds, words. Okay.
yes, grammar, vocabulary. I think
Vocabulary. Okay, you have sound and words.
Sentence structure.
Sentences. Okay.
Yes. Word formation.
Word formation.
Context and use. That's all.
Context and use. Okay. And use. All right. So you know when you think of language, you think of these following things, right? You think of sounds, you think of words, you think of sentences. Okay, you think of like idea expressions of when you write, you have paragraphs and so on. Okay, so let's start with say sentences. Okay, sentences. How do we make sentences? How do we make sentences? Or what are sentences made of? If you want to make a sentence, what do you do? Yes, Michiel.
Yeah, teacher, because before we need to use word, phrase, laws, and how to use rubber ruler when we make a sentences.
Okay, so when you make a sentence, you put together words, right? Or phrases, right?
Yeah,
So when you have many words and phrases together, you have sentences, right?
Yeah.
So for example, you need a subject, you need a verb, you need an object, an adverb or something, right? You put together, it becomes sentences, right?
Yeah.
If you want to make a word, okay, what do you need? How
Yes,
do you create a word?
yes, I need to understand what's the context and meaning of the word.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how is a word formed? What if you break a word down into smaller things? What do you have?
Yeah, we need to spelling right spelling.
Yeah, you have the spelling, and
Yeah.
if you want to say the word, you have the sounds, right? So you
Yeah.
have the sounds and spelling, and then you create a word, right? If you put many sounds together, you have words. If you would put many words together, you have sentences. What happens if you put many sentences together? What do you have?
We have paragraph.
Paragraph, okay. Paragraph, speech, right? Or what we call together idea.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is how we construct language. Okay. You put sounds together to make words. You put words together to make sentences, and you put sentences together to express your ideas. Okay. So that is how a language is constructed, right? So in this topic, we'll talk about how to put sounds together to make words. Okay. If you learn how to put sounds together to make words, what are you learning? What are you learning? What subject is it called? What is the subject of putting sounds together to create words? What is the study of how to put sounds together to make words? What do you call it? What do you call it? Okay, if I'm teaching you how to put sounds together to create words, what am I teaching you?
Yes,
What is
teacher,
it?
this is pronunciation, right?
Yes, pronunciation,
Yeah.
right? So language construction, first of all, we have pronunciation. Okay. Now, if I'm teaching you how to put words, right, uh, together, okay, to make sentences, what am I teaching you?
Grammar.
Grammar, yes, okay, grammar, okay. If I'm teaching you how to use words and sentences to express idea, what am I teaching you?
Writing.
Writing, yes, okay. But what do you call the study of meaning, right? What a word mean and then what a sentence mean? What do you call the study of meaning?
Vocabulary.
Vocabulary, okay. Right. So language construction consists of grammar, of vocabulary, and of pronunciation. Okay. And then today we'll be discussing how to teach grammar, how to teach vocabulary, and how to teach pronunciation. All right. And before we do that, I will give you 10 minutes. No, not 10. Okay. Not that's 5 minutes. 5 minutes to discuss in your group and answer the two questions over here. Okay. Question number one. What does it mean to teach grammar or vocabulary or pronunciation? And number two, what do you need to know in order to teach those well? Okay. So in other words, when you say you teach grammar, what do you teach? When you say you teach vocabulary, what do you teach? And when you say you teach pronunciation, what do you teach? Okay. And what do you need to know to teach those well? All right, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to discuss this in your groups. And after 5 minutes, I'm going to ask you for your answers. Okay. All right, 5 minutes go. Okay, what does it mean to teach grammar or vocabulary or pronunciation? And what do you need to know in order to teach those well? Now, first of all, what does it mean to teach grammar? Yes, Nhi?
Um, Hello, teacher. I think teaching grammar means helping students understand how a language works. Students learn grammatical rules and practice using them accurately and approach brilliantly in speaking and writing.
Mm-hmm.
About teaching vocabulary, I think it's been teacher help students learn the meaning, pronunciation, spelling, word form,
Mm-hmm.
collocation, and how to use new words correctly in different contexts. And about teaching pronunciation, I think it means help students produce English sounds, stress, and intonation clearly so they can communicate effectively and understand the spoken English. That's all.
Okay. So you say that teaching grammar means teaching grammar rules, okay,
Yeah,
or structure,
grammatical. Yeah,
and then teaching vocabulary means teaching meaning, pronunciation, context,
yeah,
collocation, and so on. Okay, and teaching pronunciation means teaching sounds, stress, intonation. All right,
yeah.
good. Uh, does anyone else have anything else to add? Okay, what do you mean when you teach grammar? What do you mean when you teach vocabulary? And what do you mean when you teach pronunciation? Yes, Nhi.
Yes, hello, teacher.
Mm-hmm.
About grammar, I think it means helping learners understand how to use the words or structures and combine to form meaningful sentences.
Mm-hmm.
It means meaning and use functions rather than just memorizing the rules.
Mm-hmm.
About vocabulary, I think it means going beyond translations, translating single words to
Mm-hmm.
teaching meanings, spellings, or pronunciation and word form. How words are used naturally in context. And
Mm-hmm.
pronunciation, I think it means helping learner produce individual sound, word stress, sentence stress,
Mm-hmm.
intonation, and linking sounds. I think
Mm-hmm.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Good. Anyone else have anything else to add? Okay. So grammar is about rules. Yes, Hayum. Hayum, are you speaking? I cannot hear you. Hello. Uh, sorry, Yung, I cannot hear you. Okay. So thank you. Right. So for grammar, we know that teaching grammars involve teaching rules, teaching structures, teaching functions. Okay, teaching how to use the grammar in context. For example, you can teach them, like the tenses. You can teach them the prepositions. You can teach them, the sentence formats like active voice or passive voice. You can teach them conditional sentences. Okay. Vocabulary, you teach them meaning most of the time. Okay, but how to use the words. Okay, the context. Okay, how they are pronounced, how words are related to one another. Okay. So you have like word transformation, right? Uses and also transformation, how to turn a noun into a verb, how to turn a verb into a noun. Okay, how to create adjective from nouns, how to create adverbs from adjective, and so on, right? And then pronunciation involves teaching about sounds, the stresses, the intonation, how to link sounds. Okay, and how to produce a sentence stress and so on, right? So teaching grammar, vocabulary, or pronunciation involves knowing a lot of things, right? You don't need just to know the language, okay, but also you need to know, how words are related, how sentences are made, how sounds are linked together, and so on. Okay, so it requires a lot of expert knowledge, right? And today we are going to learn some of the ways on how to draw on that kind of knowledge to teach grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. And we are going to do that in the form of a group discussion. Okay. So in this discussion today, for the workshop today, I ask you to read the 3 chapters. Okay. Chapter 14, 15, and 16 in the book. Okay. Chapter 14 is about teaching grammar. Chapter 15 is about teaching vocabulary. And chapter 16 is about teaching pronunciation. In each of these chapters, they give you many examples, okay? Examples about teaching grammar, about teaching vocabulary, and about teaching pronunciation, right? So what I want you to do is that I want you to, number one, choose one of the examples in the book that you read today and then talk about it, right? So you will want to choose one example for teaching grammar, for teaching vocabulary, or for teaching pronunciation in chapters 14 to 16. And then you will discuss this example in your group, okay? So you will tell me what you think is good about the examples, what is not so good about the examples, okay? What can you learn from the examples for your own lesson plans? And what would you do differently and how? Okay, so if you want to teach something like the example, if you want to use the example for your own teaching, what would you change? Okay, so 4 questions. You should answer. Number 1, what you like about it. Number 2, what you don't like about it. Number 3, what can you learn from it for your own lesson plan? Okay. And number 4, if you want to teach that example, what would you do differently and how? Okay. And so each group will have 15 minutes. Okay. You will choose one example in these chapters and talk about it. And then after 15 minutes, okay, you are going to present to the whole class. Okay, number 1, what example did you choose? Number 2, answer the questions about it. Okay, and so for this activity, group A is going to choose one example from example 1 to example 5 in chapter 14. Okay, group B, you are going to choose one example from example 6 to example 10 in chapter 14. Group C, you choose one from 11 to 15 in chapter 14. Okay, so group A, B, and C work on chapter 14 and you choose one example. Okay. Group D, you choose one example between 1 and 6 in chapter 15. Group D, you choose one example between 1 and 7 and 13 in chapter 15. Okay, so group D and group E is going to work on vocabulary. Group F, choose one example from 1 to 5 in chapter 16, and group G, one example from 6 to 10 in chapter 16. Okay, so group A, B, C, you work on grammar, group D and E work on vocabulary, and then group F and G work on pronunciation. Okay, you choose one example like this, and then you will answer the questions in here. Is it clear?
Yes,
Yes or no?
teacher.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to give you 15 minutes to work on this. Okay, and after 15 minutes, you come back and then you share your answers with the whole class. 15 minutes go.
Hello, teacher. Teacher.
Yes.
For group C, we could not find the example 15 in chapter 14.
You just choose example and then talk about it. Right? Make sure that you have
We
you
could
choose
not,
one.
in the book, we don't have example 15.
In chapter 14, you don't have example 15?
We could not find that.
Oh, okay. So sorry about that. Just so from chapter 11 to chapter 14. Okay, you choose one. If you don't have 15, choose one from the last example is okay, 14. Yes. So 11 to 14. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
All right, are you ready to present? Yes or no?
Yes,
Okay, all right, good. So let's begin. Okay, so let's start with Group A. Group A, you were supposed to choose one example from chapter 14. Okay, what example did you choose?
yes, group A choose example 2 on the page 241.
Okay, example 2, page 241. All right, now Group A, you are going to tell everybody about your example, okay, and answer the questions over here. But before you answer the questions, this is for Group A and also for every group. Remember, nobody read your example, okay? Everybody was reading something else. So before you tell us what you like, what you don't like about the examples, you tell us what the example is about, okay, and what the teacher does in each of the example. Okay? All right.
Second, I will tell you what example is about, right?
Yes.
Actually, this example is about the most common of the communicative language teachings. It had the grammar in context and it had 5 steps. It had 5 steps: reading, grammar, noticing, practice, and productions. Uh, and our practice is the most incorrect way to teach grammars in English.
You think it is
And
incorrect?
so, sorry,
said,
teacher, I can
did you say
hear you
it is the
clearly.
most incorrect way to teach grammar?
Our group think that is the um uh, that's the uh, actually I read the book and Hammer says that Hammer says that the book incorrect this way of teaching grammar.
Did you say encourage or incorrect? What did
I
you say?
incorrect.
Did you
No,
mean this?
no. E
Oh, okay.
E C O U R I Z E. Maybe I misspelling this. Sorry, teacher.
Encouraged. Okay. So it is the most, you say it is the most encouraged way. Do
Yes,
you mean
yes,
encourage?
teacher.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with the first question.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there are 5 things good about this example. The first thing is about the grammar. It is introduced with a meaningful written text, not isolated sentence. The second thing is that the student discover grammar in context with more deeper understanding. The next is the lesson is learn center because students actually participate in it. The fourth is it has a lead in question activities, student background knowledge, and it increase motivations. Finally, students have the chance to practice and personalize.
Okay. So those are the good things about the examples that you think. All right. What about the not so good things, the things that you didn't like? Hello? Hello? I think we lost you. I cannot hear anything from your end anymore. Okay. Can anyone else from group A help her? I cannot hear anything from her. Anyone else from group A can continue?
Sorry, teacher, there are
Okay.
some internet problem with me.
Mm-hmm.
What I said about maybe the second questions.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell begin. The first is some lower level learners may find the written test difficult. The next is the student with limited vocabulary may focus more on understanding the text than notice the grammar. And moreover, the activity may require more classroom time than a traditional grammar presentations. And the finalist is the weaker students may need additional teacher support during the discovery stage. So we will move to the third questions. What can we learn from this example from our lesson plans? The first thing is that is introduce grammar root meaningful context. The next is it use pre-reading activities to active student knowledge. It's also encourage learner to notice grammar patterns before explaining the rules, and the balanced teacher guidance with learner will be discovered. And finally, the fourth question is that what would we do differently, or how we would use pictures or short video before reading to build background knowledge. Moreover, we will add pair discussion before the whole class feedback. And finally, we can also use an online quiz for grammar practice. Thank you, teacher.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Group A. So Group A told us about example number 2. Okay. And this is an activity that imagines the students to be future word leaders. Okay. And the question that they put out is that, like, how would you change the word if you become the leaders of the word? Okay. And then they have the student read the text and okay, and then the student will have a chance to imagine the solutions for the problems of the word. Okay, and then they will have to use the grammar topic, which is about modal verbs, right? The passive with modals, right? So I think this is I agree with Group A that this is a very good example on how to teach grammar in context. Okay, and that is a very fun way and interactive way to do so, right? And then the student not only learn about the different passive forms with models, but also they learn how to express their opinions, their ideas, and think about the problems of the word. Okay. All right, good one. Thank you, Group A. Group B, tell us about your example.
Hello, teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Group B is example 6 on page 247 and 248.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This example is about teaching the differences between ed and ing adjectives such as bored and boring. Students discover the grammar rule by matching sentences with pictures.
Okay.
First, the teacher asks students to read 6 sentences and match them with 6 pictures. Then the teacher checks the answers with the class, and then teacher asks students when we use ed adjective and when we use ing adjectives. Finally, teacher asks students to make their own sentences using adjectives like bored, interested, excited, boring, interesting, and exciting.
Okay.
I will answer question number 1. The lesson is student center because learners discover the grammar rule by themselves. The picture provides clear context, making the meaning of ed and ing adjective easy to understand.
Okay.
Students are actively influenced through matching and problem solving, which increases agreement. It flows discover practice, have students remember and remember better. Students also produce their own sentences at the end, which encourages meaning communication. And number two, it has only 6 examples, so students may need more practice. Some picture may not be completely clear without teacher guidance. The lesson mainly focuses on reading and speaking with limited listening practice. Number three, from this example, I learned that grammar should be taught in context. I will use picture and let students discover the rule first. Then I will provide control practice and finish with a communicative activity so students can use the language confidently. What would you do differently? If I taught this lesson, I would start with a short video and our funny pictures to introduce the topic. After that, after the matching activity, I would ask students to work in pairs and talk about movie, books, or school using adjectives like interesting, boring, um, excited, and surprised. Finally, I would use Kahoot quiz to review the grammar.
Okay, so you have a quiz in the end, so that the student can review their or what they have learned.
Yes.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you, Group B. Also, we saw a very interesting example from Group B, and it is a very common topic. Okay, very commonly mistaken topic, right? Even for students who have learned English for quite a long time, sometimes they confuse between ing ending and ed ending adjectives, right? So confused between bored or boring, interested, interesting, or excited or exciting. Okay, so this is a good way to teach because the student have the sentences, right, and they have the context that is explained in the pictures, and they have to match the pictures with the context. And by trying to match, for example, the first one with picture C, okay, he was bored, so he left the cinema, right? So they have an idea of what bored means, okay. And then number three, he was so boring that she fell asleep, okay. And then if they match it with number F, okay, they can see the difference between bored and boring, okay, and then they can come up with the rules for themselves, right? And I agree with the analysis of Group B, okay, that we have many things to learn from this activity. But like the examples that I have here is also kind of like it's not the best example that we can find. So sometimes the confusion may not be totally eradicated for the students, right? And so Group B suggested a few things we can do to improve the activity. Okay. All right, good. Thank you, Group B. Now, Group C, what is your example?
Group C example is 11.
I'm sorry, can you speak a little louder?
At Group C, the example is 11.
11.
11, yes. Page
Okay.
250.
All right, tell us about this example.
This example is quite simple. It's find someone who. The title of the example is find someone who. It's a name given to ever popular mini survey activities designed to practice object or no questions. So each student will given a chat and ask them to go around the class, asking another students or interview them some question in order to find out certain facts about them. Look like if they ask some question, do you like chocolate? If another student say no, not write their name on the chat. But if they say that, so the student will write their name. So this example I feel is interesting because it turns repetitive grammar drill into a communicative interactive games by someone who. So that is the student can actually walk around and talk to each other. They are highly adaptable to any grammar structure like present simple, present perfect, or past tenses. And another thing I feel I like in this example that is through this activity the student can make something real, something really personal. And when they ask each other about the hobbies, about a lifestyle, so that is the one chance they can know each other better. So it's something is building the sense of belonging in one class. Yes,
Okay.
yes. And the second thing, I feel example not yet clear or not yet so good. When we use examples for the large class or with a big number of students in the class, if we don't have the rule or if we did not set up the norms, so when the student freely walk around, it may become very noisy and chaotic and sometimes making classroom management difficult. So that, and beside that, some lower level students may be struggle with the formulate follow-up questions because this example sometimes depend on the teacher. The teacher can ask them some more. So I mean the student can create some more question about. So with the lower level student, they may difficult to ask the question with the partner. Yes. So what can I learn from what we can learn, our group C can learn from this example for our lesson plan is when we put up the activities for grammar, we should be personalized and get it meaningful instead of just doing fill in the blank exercise on the paper. So the student learn better when they use a target structure to discover the real context and interesting fact about their classmates. So if I can change something to that example, so I think I will add a structure modeling phrase before letting students move around, and at the same time I will provide a prompt sheet with a few optional follow-up questions to support the weaker learners.
Okay.
So how can I do it? So there are three steps I can use. The first is modeling the activity clearly with one student in front of the whole class. It looks like one example for all they can learn about that. And the second is set a clear time limit for milling activity to keep the student focused on their task. And finally, when they already finish the chat, I can ask some few students to report back on the interesting things they found about their peers or their classmates during a brief feedback stage. So it may become an interesting activities in the class.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you, Group C. Right. Here we see another interesting example from Group C. Okay. So I agree with Group C. The thing that we like the most about this example is that it turns something, from like a repetition drill into something like communicative, right? So instead of just repeating after the teacher, the student get to practice the structure here by like a communicative activity. You add like an information gap element into it, and then they have to find the people in here, right? So the analysis of Group C shows us why this activity is interesting and useful for like the beginners or elementary level students, right? And sometimes even if you change the structure and you give more complicated prompts or structures in here, it may be something that you can use for even upper level as well. Okay, so good, good one. Thank you. Group D.
Yes, hello teacher. I'm from Group D.
Mm-hmm.
I choose example 1 in page 258.
Okay.
Yes. The first, I see that's the way of introducing the new vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an effective vocabulary lesson for the young learner because it's you the
Can you
picture.
can you tell us what happens in the activity in the example first?
Yes.
Okay.
First, the activities a listen, count, repeat, and chant.
Mm-hmm.
They can look at the picture and show about the vocabulary or
Mm-hmm.
ask and answer about the items.
Okay.
Uh, and I think that's the effective lessons because uh, it's use picture uh, to introduce the new word, and students can learn by listening, counting, repeating, and chanting.
Mm-hmm.
And in page 259, I see we want them to associate word and phrase with the picture and sound. So I
Mm-hmm.
think we can give the student about the sound and they can guess what animal is it.
Mm-hmm.
And next are the use of the jazz chant and can make the lesson enjoyable and help the learner remember pronunciation and
Mm-hmm.
vocabulary more easily.
Okay. So those are the things
Um,
that you like about the examples.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And next, I think although the activities is effective, it still has some limitation.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Students mainly repeat after the teacher and have limited uh, opportuni- opportunities to use the language independently. And I think it's suitable for pre-student or primary student because on just we just have only four vocabularies are introduced, so lesson maybe become bored if it lasts too long, and some shy children may participate less if the teacher only call on the individual student.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no activity to check whether students truly understand the meaning of the word or simply remember their pronunciation.
Okay.
And for in the large classes, asking each student to point to the picture one by one to choose the vocabulary can be quite time consuming.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and from this example, I can apply the following teaching method. Uh, I I always introduce the new vocabulary using picture or real object like toys or like animal toys before giving the explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I can decide the lessons in the following sentence like listen, count, repeat, and chant is the same of the lesson,
Okay.
but I will give the student plenty of the opportunities to repeat the vocabulary through the
Mm-hmm.
different format,
Mm-hmm.
such as quote class, groups, and individual student.
Okay.
Or but with the kids level, I will use the total physical response, TPR, to about the song, about the chant, to make the learning more engaging and enjoyable.
So instead of just singing along, they can dance, they can stand up and down
Yes.
and do other things. Okay.
And after teaching the vocabulary, I will create opportunities for students to make sentences and practice ask and answer about a question so they can use the word in meaningful context. Like I ask them, where is the cow? The cow uh, is next to the sheep, or where is the sheep is next to the boy or the girl.
Okay. All
And
right.
the last one, I will choose the activities that are appropriate for learners age and proficiency level rather than focusing only on the number of the vocabulary.
Okay. All right.
For
Good. So
yes, and
you still have answer?
yes, and question 5, what would you do different?
Okay. Go ahead. I
Yes,
thought you were answering this one
yes,
with what you were going to do. But yes, go ahead.
yes. In my reality class, I usually start the lesson with the warm up songs. Such as this lesson, I will use the Old MacDowell's Had a Farm to start.
Okay.
And next, I will use the flashcard or the stuffed animals instead of rely only the textbook or make the lesson more visual or engaging.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I will use the chant uh, and organize some interactive games such as slap the card, find the animal, matching the animal, or memory game with the find the different pair match two pair, yes, and bingo. And next, I will have students work in pair to practice with the language. Uh, where ask and answer, they can ask and answer, where is the rabbit or what is it? At the end of the lesson, I will ask the student to draw their favorite farm animal and say, what is it and where is it? If my classroom has the smart board or tablet, I will use to drag and drop activities
Okay.
or the other interactive games.
Okay. All
That's
right.
all.
Okay, thank you, Group D. All right, so we see here another interesting example of how to teach vocabulary. Okay, and you have a little bit of everything in here. You have like the interactive board in here where you can see the animals in the picture, and then the student can point to the animal, right? And then you have like a jazz chant so that they can practice pronouncing the names of the animal in here, right? And group D also show us some of the things that I would do differently, okay, according to the different levels of the students. And I agree, okay, instead of just like pictures, you can add stuff like you can have flashcards or you can have, like stuffed animal and so on to make the lesson more interesting. And then you can add a little bit of singing and dancing to it, like the TPR aspect of it is also a good point, especially for younger children. Okay, good, thank you. Group E.
Yes, teacher.
Mm-hmm. What examples are you looking at?
Uh, Sorry, teacher. Our group, read example 7, chapter 15,
Example 7. Okay.
and example 13. Yes.
This one, right? You were doing microbes, bacteria, and viruses, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So which one do you choose? You choose 7 or 13? You can only talk about one of them.
Um, I will
13.
choose example 13.
13. Okay. All right. Tell us about this example, what it does. Okay, and then you can answer the questions on the board.
Mm, in example 13, students learn common collocations such as do homework and make breakfast, which helps them use vocabulary more naturally. The activity also teaches students how to use dictionaries effectively and promotes learner independence.
Okay. And what do they do to learn this? What do they do in what do students do in this activity?
Uh, mm, from this activity, a student can learn that pair work and group work
What do
increase.
they do to learn? What do they do to learn the collocations with do and make and take in this activity? What do you do to them, and what do they do? Can you describe the example? What happens in the example? Yes.
Yes, the teacher puts students into pair or small groups and gives them a grid of noun phrases like homework.
Okay.
It uses a lot of noise, and students try to guess which verb do, may, or take goes with it now. Then they use dictionaries to check their answers and finish by talking about who does these actions in their own house.
Okay. All right. Good. So they students work in the in pairs or in small groups, right? And they have to solve the problem here that the teacher gives them, right? Using dictionaries or look up, sources, and then they talk about who does these activities in their home. Okay. So good. You can go ahead and answer the questions about this. What do you like about this example? What don't you like about it? What can you learn from it? And if you teach the same activity, what would you do differently? Why?
Mm, um, for example, 13, it promotes independent learning. Uh, is, Instead of giving the answers right away, the, the teacher guides students to check collocations which do, may, and take in additional dictionary, which builds learner autonomy.
Okay.
Um,
So it promotes autonomy and independent learning. Anything else?
it also encourages collaborative
Students work in pairs or small groups to negotiate meaning, discuss answers, and learn from each other before checking with the class. And the task asks students to discuss who does which chore in their own house, what makes the target vocabulary relevant to their daily life.
Okay, so you can talk about it and then relate it to their family. Okay. What don't you like about the examples? What do you think is not good?
Although these activities are useful, they also have some limitations. In example 13, looking up many words in a dictionary can become repetitive and less engaging.
Okay.
In addition, students mainly focus on finding the correct answers instead of using the new vocabulary in meaningful communication.
Okay, so repeated looking up the dictionary may not be a good idea. All right, so what can you learn from it? And if you want to do it, how would you do it differently and why?
From example, I learned that vocabulary lessons should be interactive and meaningful. Students remember new words better when they use them in real communication. Practical tasks. I also learned that pair work and group work increase student participation and make the lesson more learner centered. Furthermore, teaching collocations and dictionary skills is important because it helps students become more confident and independent language learners.
Okay. What about the things you would do to change the activity?
I think instead of having every pair look up or 16 phrases, I would assign 3 or 4 phrases to each group and have them present their findings to the rest of the class.
Okay.
And I would make the final speaking stage more active. I would turn the personal follow-up question into find someone who mingle activity where students walk around the room asking each other, do you make your bed every morning? That's all.
Okay, so you can do something like a class interview, just like the previous activity that another group talked about. Okay, thank you, Group E. Okay, now let's move on to talk about pronunciation. Group F, can you show us your example?
Yes, teacher. So we have selected example 4 on page 287.
Example 4, 287.
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us what happens in this example?
So this example uses physical actions like standing up or for standing up for stretched syllables and sitting or squatting for unstretched syllables to help young learners visualize and feel word stretch patterns. For example, the word exercise or photographer.
Okay.
Uh, in details, so the teacher in this activity, the teacher will tell the student that they are going to make words by standing uh, or and sitting. They have to think of how many parts, syllables, the word has, and they um, and um, and then make word uh, statues. For example, if the word is exercise, one student stand up and two students sit down.
Okay.
Yeah. And if the word is photographer, uh, on the other hand, they would stand and sit like one student stand up and three other the first student sit down, the second will stand up and two others sit down. Yeah.
Actually, the activity is related to the position of the
Yeah.
stress, right? So if the word for exercise, the stress is on the first syllable, so the
Yeah.
first student stand up, okay, and
Yes.
the other student sit down.
Yes.
And then for photographer, the stress is on the second syllable, right? So the second student stand up, and then all of these students sit down, right? And then
Yes.
it's not related to it's related to the position of the stress, right? When you explain it, you need to make clear that the first syllable, the second syllable, the third syllable
Yes.
corresponding to the first student, second, and third student.
Yes.
Okay.
So what is good mean this example is good in some ways, like first it's good for young learners, because it connects abstract sound rules with physical movement, making word stress visible and easy for young children to understand.
Okay.
And it gives high engagement and energy, because it turns pronunciation practice into fun interactive game, keeping
Hmm.
young learners energized and focused. Mm.
Okay.
And it's memorable because it creates word statue uh, and strong mental image, helping students memorize stretch patterns longer.
Okay.
So what is not so good about this example or is uh, it will create potential classroom chaos. If the class
Uh-huh.
is large or overly energetic, standing up or sitting down repeatedly might cause physical chaos or noise. Second is about the space limitation. For the classroom have limited space, it it will
Hmm.
it will be difficult uh, for teachers to apply this activity,
Okay. Okay.
um, and it's not suitable for older learners, because they may feel embarrassed or lazy to or find this physical activity childish.
Hmm.
Mm.
All right.
So what we have learned from this activity is we can utilize multimodal teaching, like pronunciation is just for isn't just for listening, so we should combine sound with movement visuals, or to help learner process the stress much faster. And we should match the activity with learner age. Mm,
We should adapt our pronunciation techniques to the age and the personality of the student or the condition of the classroom. So we if we had if there's something we would do differently. First of all, we will use hand gestures or clapping instead of this kind of activity for small spaces. Yes, and we will add written visual reinforcements. Like I would write the words on the board using big letters for stress syllables to link physical feeling with spelling. So it will be easy for the learners to follow.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. And
Yeah.
you have more to add?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Group F. All right. So another useful example, okay, but just like Group F just mentioned, this may be interesting and useful for younger learners, okay, because it involves physical activity, but it can also be a recipe for chaos, right? And if you do this to adult learner, maybe they will not so much enthusiastically enjoy the activity. Okay, but one idea to link, physical activities to learning pronunciation. All right, good. And then the last example is from Group G. Group G.
Teacher.
Mm-hmm.
We choose example 6.
Okay.
Yes, in this example, student will read the poem and working with intonation and stress. Yes, and for the question 1, what is good about this? In this example, I think teaching intonation and emotion by the poem. The first one is using House of Stone poem to explore how intonation and stress convey mood, emotion, and pronunciation. Is integrated skills broad. This means combines reading comprehension, emotional expression, and pronunciation practice. Yes, and in the working with intonation and stress part, some good points are visual clarity. This means that using clear symbols, arrows, and line notation to make abstract movement visual and easy for students to understand. Moreover, it demonstrates how intonation conveys attitudes, feelings, and speaker intention. For example, a surprise, doubt, or politeness, rather than just mechanical rules. And the next one is that integrate stress and pitch into full dialogue. To full integrate stress and pitch into full dialogue instead of isolated words. And the last one is connect listening and speaking. It helps students tune their ears to notice intonation patterns before asking them to produce those patterns naturally. Yes, and the second question is what is not so good about this example? We think using this poem can overwhelm lower level learners who may struggle with vocabulary or abstract literary terms before they can focus on intonation. The second one, students it over reliance on phonic symbol or visual notation. This means students who are unfamiliar with intonation arrows or transcription symbols might get confused by the notation rather than listening to the pitch. Yes.
Okay.
And what can we learn from this example for our own lesson plan? The lesson we learn, the first one is focusing on intonation and connected speech through full sentences, short stories, or the poem rather than isolated works. The second one is connect intonation to emotion. We can show students how to change express attitudes like excitement, surprise, or polite interest. Yes, so they understand why it matters. We can train students' ears to notice movement, and so they can recognize them in real conversation. The next one, we can use basic arrows or turn lines to mark the words, so students aren't distracted by complex symbol. Yes. And the last question is, what would we do differently and how? The first one, we use modern relatable text instead of classic classic poem. And how we do? We will replace or supplement the poem with a movie dialogue, a popular song, or a short audio clip from a podcast. Yes, this intonation in this helps students. This attracts students more. Yes, more than the poem. And the next one. Student, we give student record their own voice. Yes, their own voices, reading the lines on their the device, like micro. Yes, like micro. Compare their other student. Yes, and then we adjust them. Yes, that's all.
Adjust. You give them recommendations on how to improve.
What, teacher?
What do you mean by you adjust them? What do you mean by adjusting? You give them feedback?
Yes, we give them feedback after record their own voice.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you, group G. All right, so here we see another example of how to use, like different genre in teaching pronunciation. Here you have a poem, okay? And the poem helps the student not only just pronounce the words in the poem, but also recognize the stress pattern and the intonation of the sentences in the poem, right? Especially if you have someone read the poem to them, and then they can begin to pay attention to some of the intonation patterns and the sentence stress patterns in the poem. Okay, and I'd agree with Group G that there are several ways we can improve it. For example, you can use, like a more modern text. This one is an older text, right? So it may not be relevant or interesting to the students. If you use something, not only just a poem, but also some song lyrics, for example, of modern popular songs, right? They can find it more interesting and useful. All right, so all of you have talked about one example, okay, for teaching grammar, for teaching pronunciation, and for teaching vocabulary. And you have told us what you can learn from the example and what you think you can do to improve it, okay? So this is one activity for you to begin thinking about how to teach, grammar, pronunciation, or vocabulary, and how to design activities in order to teach those aspects of the language, okay? When you look at the activities in the book, you see that they are described in a way, okay, that may be different from how we describe our activities, right? So they list down what the teacher does or what the students do in paragraphs like this or in bullet points like this, okay? So your next activity is to think about how you would do what you would do for your lesson plan, okay? So for each of you who is teaching grammar or vocabulary or pronunciation, okay, look at the examples that you find here and then think whether or not you can learn something from them, okay? And then you can bring that something, put it in your lesson plan and describe, okay, your activities in lesson plan, okay? So that is our next step, to think of what we can learn from the examples and put it in our lesson plan. And that will be your homework, okay? On your homework today, work on your individual lesson plan and think of how to incorporate what you have learned from these activities into your plan, okay? Our second workshop, so that's the end of our first workshop, okay? Our second workshop is similar, and we will be talking about how to teach skills, okay? English language skills. So we are going to, hang on. We are going to share, we are going to move over to our second workshop, okay? And now you will be talking about how to teach language skills, okay? And by skills, we mean, reading, listening, writing, and speaking, okay? So it's the same discussion that we have here, right? First of all, think about what ways we can do to teach reading, to teach listening, to teach writing, and to teach speaking, okay? And then what we need to know in order to teach those well. And then we will have a similar discussion, okay? And now we will talk about the examples that we find in the chapters on teaching language skills, okay? So we have a chapter on teaching reading, we have a chapter on teaching listening, we have a chapter on teaching speaking, and one on teaching writing, okay? So I want you to look at the examples in chapter 18 and 21, and we do the same thing. You answer the questions in here for the chapters in the book, okay? So we have 7 groups. So group A will look at chapter 18 on teaching reading, and then you will look at chapter 1 to 5, okay? Group B, same, you will look at chapter 6 from reading, and then chapter 1, 2, and 3 in listening, okay? So group B, you look at 2, right? So choose one between chapter 6 in chapter 18, example 6 from chapter 18 to example 3 in chapter 19. Group C, you choose from example 4, chapter 19 to example 8, okay? Group D, you choose from 1 to 5 in chapter 20. Group E, from 6 to 10 in chapter 20. Group F from 1 to 6 in 21, and Group G from 7 to 12 in 21. Okay, and you're gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to have a break, a short break. Okay, and then after 5 minutes you come back, and each group will choose one example in these chapters and do the same thing as we did before. Okay, you can ask and answer questions. Tell us what the chapter is about, what you like about it, what you don't like about it, what can you learn from it, and what can you do to make it better. Okay. All right, so go have your break and then read the chapters in your group, examples in your group, and choose one example to talk about. And then you can come back at 3 o'clock, and then we can continue. Okay. All right, so have a break and then read and answer the questions about the chapters, the examples. All right, finished. Okay, we will not have time to go through another round of analysis, okay? But because you already did this not too long ago, you know how to look at the examples and then critically analyze them, okay? So you can just look at the examples you just talked about and then, do this within your group, right? Your next activity is to translate the examples that you just talked about into the format that we use for our lesson plan, okay? So for example, if you looked at example 1, okay? In the book, in reading, for example, okay, if you look at example 1 like this, you see the way they describe the example is that they describe in paragraph like this, okay? But this is not the format that we'll be using in your lesson plan, okay? In your lesson plan, you will use a format like this. So first of all, you break the example down, you break the activity down into smaller steps, right? So for example, here in this example, you can break it down. First, okay, the teacher give, maybe you see, you have, okay, give each student in the class a letter from A to E. Okay, so you have, oh, okay, this is for grouping. Okay, so first of all, you group students, right? So you write in here like grouping student, you put student into five groups, right? And then ask them to close their eyes, right? And you put it in here, right? And in the description over here, you also don't have the time, right? They don't tell you how much time this activity will last, right? So I want you to also think how much time do you think the activity will take? And then you put a time in here. What kind of interaction? Okay, is it between the whole class, the teacher and the whole class, or the teacher with individual students, or the teacher with the groups, or the teacher with the pairs, or the student work together, and so on? Okay, and tell me what the teacher does in here, right? So for example, the teacher give each student a letter from A to E. Okay, so what the learners do? The student receive the letter, right? The teacher asks the student to close their eyes, the learner close their eyes, and so on, right? So you break it down into smaller steps, and then you fill it in a table like this, okay? And give it the right amount of time you think it happens, and then you tell me what kind of interaction happened in each of a step in here, okay? So you will read your example and translate it into this table. For example, if you look at example 2, okay, same here, right? You can also break it down into smaller steps, write it in here, what the teacher does, what the learners do, what kind of interaction happened, and how much time, okay, is allotted. And then you can do it for all of the things that happen in the example, and then to help learner to help people when they look at the table that you have here, they understand what is going on. So this will be your homework. You choose the example that you just talked about, right? And then you describe it using this table, okay? And then after you're done, you can upload your answers to the folder in here. Okay, folder is not open yet because it was scheduled. Okay, sorry. Okay, so you can upload your answers to the 2 folders that we have here. One folder will be for teaching language construction. What's going on? And one folder will be for teaching language skills. Okay, so, okay, you can just describe the activity that you read about, and then you upload your description in here, right? So Okay, one folder for the teaching language skills. This is for today. And then one folder for the activity that you did earlier. Okay. Okay, let me stop sharing. What's wrong with this? All right, sorry about that. Okay, you upload your answer into the two folders here. Your analysis for the teaching grammar, pronunciation, and vocabulary in this folder, and then your example for teaching reading, writing, listening, and speaking in this folder. Choose the example that you talked about in class, okay, and then do the analysis and put it in here. Is it clear? Do you understand what you need to do?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, take the example from the book, translate it into a table like this, and upload your answers into the two folders. Okay, so that's your homework for today, and then you continue to think about how you can develop the activities for your lesson plan. And after class today, you will need to think about your lesson plan and then develop the activities and describe them and put them in your individual lesson plans. Okay. Right, so that's the homework for the two workshops today. Okay, the purpose of the workshop is to help you think about how to improve your activities, okay, and how to describe them and put them in your lesson plan. All right, before we end, any questions?
Yes, teacher, I see that your example have the interaction column, but in your template, the individual didn't have. So, do do I need to insert this column into the individual assignment?
Yes, I think it would be helpful to put in the interaction in the lesson plan.
Thank you, teacher.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, teacher, I want to ask you a little bit about the score. Well, I want to know if this next weekend I can attend and represent. So I want to know the score if I can attend.
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question. Can you say it again?
Well, I will ask you a little bit about the score because the next weekend, if maybe I can attend and present my presentation.
You cannot present your presentation next week.
Well, I try to organize my schedule, but I'm not sure.
Okay, in that case, you need to write me an email. Okay, I will answer you via email.
Okay, teacher. Thank you.
All right. Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming on the second class today. I know this is kind of tiresome for you because we have like 3 classes in a row. But thank you for coming, and then I'll see you again at 7 o'clock tonight, this evening, for the final workshop on teaching and learning. Okay? All right, thank you, everybody, and see you at 7 o'clock.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes?
I have one question. Like, because my group has only 4 members, so the pronunciation lesson, nobody will do it. So, how we can represent it in the portfolio or the presentation?
Okay, so there need to be a lesson plan for pronunciation in the portfolio. Okay, so if each of you have your own lesson, maybe the 4 of you can work together and make a lesson plan for pronunciation in the portfolio, and you need to include it in the unit plan. But when you present the individual lesson plan, you only need to present 4.
Okay, thank you, teacher.
Okay, so no need to present the pronunciation lesson.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Any other questions?